Hey, today I'll be showing you guys how to replace your engine and transmission mounts. Two of the most common issues with worn out motor mounts is when the engine vibrates excessively, much more than a regular brand new mount. So vibration is one, and the second one is the engine movement. So if you pop up your hood and you rev the engine and you can see the engine moving noticeably, then that shouldn't be happening. It should be very, it should be not noticeable at all, okay? So if it's moving a lot, then you should have a worn engine mount. So for problem with mine is that I do not have it moving. Mine is kind of relatively solid, it's not moving at all. But mine has so much vibration. Mine vibrates like crazy when I'm accelerating, decelerating, going over speed bumps, or even small little bumpy imperfections of the road. Mine like shakes like crazy, and I know it's the motor mounts. So today I'll show you guys how to replace it. Here is what my new motor and transmission mounts look like. I just laid it out exactly how it would be inside the engine bay. This is the front engine mount, this is the transmission mount, and this is the rear engine mount. First things first, you're gonna jack up the car. You don't have to take out the wheels at all. Most cars are the same procedure. Jack up the car and then support the front of the car on jack stands. Alright, now you're gonna wanna pop the hood. Most cars will have three main parts of mounting. You have this mount, the one in the back, and then the one on the side, so it's like a triangle. I'm gonna start replacing this one first. This is the front engine mount. The reservoir for the coolant is in the way, and there's two clips for my car. There's one clip right there, and there's one clip right there. So I just remove those two clips, and this should pick itself up, and then you just move it to the side. And then you're able to get access to the front engine mount. The transmission mount cannot be seen right now because it's underneath the battery for my car. Basically the transmission for my car is right here. So the mounting is in the general area of the transmission. For the rear motor mount, it's back here, but it's underneath everything. So you have to go underneath the car to replace the rear motor mount. We'll just leave the reservoir to the side right there. Now we have access to the front engine mount. There's 4 bolts for me. So before we remove the bolts, you have to support the engine with a jack on the bottom. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna jack up the bottom of the engine until the engine raises very slightly. This means that the jack is supporting the engine a little bit. The reason why we do this is because once we remove the bolts, this side of the engine is no longer mounted to the car. It needs to be supported somehow so it doesn't fall. Once the engine has been lifted just a little bit, now you can go back up to the top and remove the bolts. For me, the outer sides were bolts and the top sides were nuts. Remove it. So the motor mount is inside of this housing, okay? So we're gonna remove it from the housing. So here's the bracket and here's the motor mount. Yeah, I think this one's pretty done. It's completely torn apart, so here are the two pieces. It's supposed to be sitting like that. So I'm pretty sure this is completely blown, right? Don't you agree? And this is my new one. You can see the two. This is aftermarket. This is a 5-year warranty on it, so it's pretty good aftermarket one. It's very trusted too. Sometimes the aftermarket ones aren't the exact same design, but they should have a relatively similar fitment. So this one just doesn't have the other wall, which is perfectly fine. You don't really need it. And that should be it. I'll put it back in the car. Lightly thread it in. Don't torque it all the way down yet. Tighten it all the way back down. Alright, now the front engine mount is completely replaced. This is perfect. Alright, now put the reservoir back on. Now you're going to move the jack for the front engine mount side. And then you're going to jack up the rear side of the engine because we're going to do the rear engine mount next. Make sure it's lightly lifted up and then you can proceed to remove the bolts and mount. So here's the rear motor mount. The bushing's right here and there's one right here. So this whole thing is the motor mount. So there's one bracket and here's the other bracket. We're gonna remove the bolts. Here too, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my car has 5 to remove the rear engine mount. Here is the old one. Here's the bracket and here's the main motor mount with the huge bushing. It looks perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but we're gonna replace it anyways with the new one because we're already here. Here's a new one, and it just goes in there like this. And then you put it back in the car. Alright, now all 5 bolts for me is in, and the rear motor mount is finally finished. Once again, you're gonna lower the jack. Alright, the last one for me is the transmission mount, which is right under here, and I need to remove the battery for that to happen. Now we're gonna remove the bottom plastic that surrounds the battery. Okay, so underneath the battery tray, you have this. This is my last motor mount. This is the transmission mount. This whole square thing right here is mine. I just need to remove these nuts right here, and this bolt, and these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this top bracket should come off. The main motor mount underneath it should come out too. All the bolts and nuts have been removed. Now take off the motor mount. Okay, so these are my old motor mounts. Here's the front engine, rear engine, and transmission. So you can see right here, the front engine mount is completely done. The whole rubber assembly came off. So that is for sure a good thing, because I know that my motor mount was the problem to my vibration. It was nasty. My rear engine, there's a very small crack on it, but I don't think it does any harm. It still looks really good, so this is fine. Alright, this is my transmission mount, and if you look very closely, it looks good, but if you look closely, it's not, because there's a huge crack right here, from here all the way to here. And if you can take your fingers, you can pry it apart, and the crack actually gets bigger. When the engine is trying to move, this will not stabilize it with the car's chassis. So basically these two right here are really bad, and I'm very happy that they are bad because it means that was the culprit to my car's nasty vibration. Now that the transmission mount has been finally put in and secured, it's time to put everything back together, and that's it. So that's how you replace your motor and transmission mounts. So good luck with everything. See ya.